Hi, welcome to this afternoon's Catapult Lockdown Virtual Salon for my discussion with Sandra Vivas, who lives and works in Dominica. So we are streaming right now from Dominica, Dominican Republic, which I prefer to call Dominicana, and Barbados. And that is a powerful thing, I think so. Before we begin, I'd like to express huge thanks to the Catapult partners, including the American Friends of Jamaica, Kingston Creative, and of course, Fresh Milk for making this series of salons happen. Please feel free to ask your questions in the comment section during the talk, which will get into the question and A segment of the salon. And of course, you know that all of us, we are trying to use the internet connection at the same time. And maybe, so if you say you saw that I left the conversation, don't panic because I will be back. And I would like to invite Sandra to join us.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Do you know what I do when I'm really horny? I do this and more. Do you know why? Because eu sou uma puta culta. Eu sou uma puta intelectual. Eu sono graduata all'Università del Rio in filosofia e letteratura. But sometimes I'm really horny, more than usual. Then I go like this, roll one, roll twice, and put that finger out of my way. And then with the other hand, same thing, roll one, roll twice, same thing. With both hands like this. I do it again. Because I'm a scholar whore. I'm an intellectual whore. So this was a work from 1993 that I just performed. It's called Eu sou uma puta culta, I'm an intellectual whore, and it's from 1993. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Sandra.
Yeah.
Well, so Sandra Vivas was born in Caracas, where she studied art history at the Universidad Central de Venezuela and later completed her MFA at the San Francisco Art Institute in the United States before moving to Dominica in 2009. Vivas is a video and performance, as you saw it, and with a strong conceptual influences questioning the clichés about identity and the structure of power in relationships. Vivas works with multiple media, including drawings, paintings, video, live performances, and most recently, films. And so thank you, Sandra, for joining us.
Thank you, Gina.
And
So,
I want to, no, sorry, tell me.
no, go ahead.
Okay. I want to start the conversation with the same idea that Helen and I started in the first session of this virtual salon lockdown, and is with the idea that to take the body as to take the power. I mean, I want to propose to all of us to switch the concept in the fiction democracy about the to take the power as the main thing in the democracy systems for the to take the body. And Sandra, I want to start with that. What comes to you when we refer to the body as a political space for the alliance and resistance?
Well, I love what you said about taking the body, taking control of the bodies, taking control of the power. Because I like to quote my dear friend and also an artist, Erika Ordosgoite, also from Venezuela, a performance artist. And she says that all the weapons are designed to go against the body. And we know that who has the weapons has the power. So who has control of their own body has the power. So I don't think there is any other tool, for me at least, that can be more powerful than to using my own body as a tool of for making art.
That's a good thing that to, yeah, and I think that with you and your works, I mean, you are working early in the 90s, and you are always putting the body into the diana, we call it in Spanish.
The target,
And
target. The body is the
exactly,
target. The body is the target
exactly.
of the weapons, exactly.
And how you initiate that um, yeah, moving into the and trying to understand the body as a weapon
Well,
in your early work.
my work comes, like many of us in the performance, art. It comes a lot from my own biography. I was a very mediocre ballerina. I studied ballet, and it was very, very, very bad. And also I was not only bad because I was bad, but I also was bad because I was born with a defect on a hip, and that physically made it impossible for me to be a ballerina. So, but I still wanted, to use my body. I still wanted to. Then when I started dance, I also did a little bit of dance. It was, I had damage because of my hip issues. I had damaged my knees too much, so I had to find my own way of making art. And I found that through my friend Diana Lopez, that I could do something completely different, which was performance art. And I didn't have to be perfect, because I think one of the ideas that attracts me the most about performance art is that it's kind of democratic, because everybody has a body and everybody can use it. So I want to do another piece now that I have to change my outfit. Sorry.
Okay.
So here we go. This is what I call my performance uniform. Okay. Tú me acostumbraste a todas esas cosas y tú me enseñaste que son maravillosas, sutil como la tentación. Llegaste a mi existir, llenando de inquietud mi corazón. Yo no concebía cómo se vivía en tu mundo raro, y por ti aprendí. Por eso me pregunto, al ver que me olvidaste, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué no me enseñaste cómo se vive sin ti? So this is another early performance, in which I use just a popular Bolero song. Bolero is a media in a genre of music that is about the beloved one, that we're not with. And this particular song, at the time I did this, I was studying in San Francisco, and it's interesting because it's kind of like a secret anthem to gay people, because it's like, you got me used to all those things. I didn't know how I could live, you introduced me to a strange world. So anyhow, there are many cues there that legend says that the person who wrote it was a closet gay, and it's like, at least in Latin America, it's like a secret anthem to gay people.
Yeah. And yeah, the bolero is a real popular music in Cuba, of course, and in the DR too, a lot. And the voice is one of the most powerful. I mean, the body is a weapon, yes, but the voice is one of the most powerful tools that our body has. So the singing, in many ways, is an action of resistance for you, right? Can you try to talk about the singing and the failure and the proof and
Yeah, well, as I was saying, one of the things I love about performance art is that it's anybody can do it. So and anybody sings. Anybody has. We don't need to have any special training. We are all sung as well. Most of us have been sung as babies. It's part of our memory and it's part of our emotional memory as well. And I work with. We're talking about that memory. I talk with songs, which for me are also very important, which are popular songs, but also I work with anthems. And in a way, I try to desacralize them because one topic that is also present in my work is how this ideology, it's so ingrained on us that we, many ideologies, we don't even question them. So I try to introduce, in a through popular images, like just a simple song, question marks that, hopefully will sparkle a thought that might be different than the one we had before.
and you have this performance, Reloj Lácteo,
Oh, yes.
and yeah, and you song the
Oh,
Internacional Socialista.
okay. I have to say something about Reloj Lácteo. The first time I did Reloj Lácteo was in 2007. And it was, I did it, I was invited to do it in Sevilla, then I did it in Caracas. And we're gonna about to see the third time I did Reloj Lácteo. I've done it 4 times, which is in 2014. I think it's 2014. Well, and that third time I still used the national anthem. But in Venezuela, the national anthem is also the most sung lullaby, just the music that people change the lyrics. And it was
Oh,
it was a way to empower the babies, like for freedom, right? And but just
yeah.
the mothers would change the lyrics, right? So it's the same music, exactly the same music. One it's lullaby, the other one is just with different lyrics. It's two different meaning, but everybody has this real special Venezuelans, this special relationship. So Reloj Lácteo, it's homage to women specifically who cannot find the food for the children. And this had already started and was evident in 2007 when I did it the first time. Right now, it's everywhere the news how difficult the situation is. And what else I wanted to say? And we're gonna see two fragments because it's too long to show here.
Okay, okay.
Just we're gonna see just the beginning and the end. So, my dear tech people, the sound, I cannot hear the sound of the original. Hello?
Okay, there it is.
Okay, better. So, so that was Reloj Lácteo, which the last time I did it in France, and I sang instead the International Socialist, because that would be a song that the French would, feel more familiar with instead of the anthem, and making reference about some choices of the left in France specifically about their position in relationship to this political situation in Venezuela. And so it's always, questioning those preconceived ideas that, we have.
And in those ideas, the female body for you, I mean, the female in comillas, what that means to you?
Well, I was born in this body, I want to quote Lucy Liebert because she said it like so great. So this is the, I don't have my glasses. Men can use beautiful, sexy women as neutral objects or surfaces, but when women use their own faces and bodies, they are immediately accused of narcissistic. Since women are seen as sexual objects, it is taken for granted that any woman that presents her own body in public does it because she believes she's beautiful. She's narcissistic, but Vito Acconci, with his less romantic image and his bags full of people, is an artist. So, yes, it's the female body. It's always gonna be politicized just because it's a female body, right? And of course my work, questions those cliches about, what is feminine, what is masculine. And now I would like to do another very, very short performance. It's a little cadeau for my French speaking friends in the Caribbean, because we speak several languages here. So non, rien de rien. Non, je ne regrette rien. Ni le mal qu'on m'a fait, ni le bien, tout ça me fait égal. So, and with that song, I want to go on to the next image, which I will be talking through. Because I did first this video, which is in my website, and then I did a performance. I was invited to do a performance. So the number 3 image, please. No, number 3, it's an image. It's the circle of fire. Hello, Patrick or
Philip.
Philip, sorry. So, so I was singing in this, I created a circle of fire first with some gel that it ignites. And I was first scrolling, which is, of course, a position that is associated with submissiveness and also with being an animal. And then I sang in a very exaggerated way. I had also like the song of Edith Piaf in my ears, so I could, sing along. And then afterwards, after I sing my song, the song of Edith Piaf, Je ne regrette rien, I extinguished the fire with the fire extinguishers that is right there in front of me. And of course, I created this huge cloud, and all the crowd had to, just, fly. Yeah, and it's unfortunately I didn't have more space to bring more photos, but you can see it in the website, the images of the what was left afterwards, right? And then again I'm singing like kind of like an anthem, and I was also like fascinated. I'm always fascinated of juxtaposing elements traditionally associated with one genre or the other. So this idea again that at least in Latin America we grew up with the idea of the female woman from soap operas that is always suffering because of the lover left her, and in this particular one I'm kind of questioning, but we are the ones who put ourselves in that circle of fire to begin with, but we have the fire extinguisher, we can just blow those flames and be free.
Right. I remember now the song by Perecha Chingo, a Chilean music group. She has a song that says, para avivar el fuego no me falta el aire. Mi voz sea la herramienta cuando el trabajo sea reverdecer. It's something like, to fan the fire, I light the air. My voice is the tool when the work is to green. And yeah, I want Sandra to go through the idea of failure in with this of ballerina and then trying to sing and always trying to do these movements and build voices into your work?
Well, I grew up with in a family that you would call basically of like extreme left, and and um, I was very, very disappointed in a personal way when my sister was given a scholarship in a socialist country, and all those dreams that were the ultimate truth, the ultimate, revelation for happiness, for equality, for justice were shattered. And then again, I fell prey of those dreams of the socialism, at least as is conceived in this part of the world, in my own country. And I would say something that a lot of people would hate me for it, but I voted for a guy called Chavez. And then I had to suffer asylum, or to be seek asylum myself, because I got threatened for doing my artwork, and it was very abstract work. It was not even, it is, having a gun pointed to your head, trying to go to the authorities and being told, no, those authorities were the ones who pointed the gun to your head. It's very, very scary, very, very scary, but I'm not gonna go into detail. But it's very, very personal for me. Those fallen dreams, those fallen utopias. It's not something I read in postmodern theory. For me, it's real. That those, the failure of those big ideologies that became just demagogic discourses that are completely empty. And yes, that's where a lot of my work about success and failure, and I use a lot in my practice, those ideas.
And now I want to go to the main thing of the body as a tool, as a weapon, and your artwork, Paisajes Invisibles.
Paisajes Invisibles. Yes, please, let's put that on right now. Philip, right?
Yes.
Behind the cameras. There's a whole team of people working to make this possible. Thank you, all of you here. So this is a video. It's a 6-minute video. I did a video work. It got accepted in the experimental section of Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival. But basically, I enter a black rectangle of fabric, and it's actually like a huge envelope. I enter, and then I do like different dances that are they're not really dances. I'm actually posing. That's the word, like making just static poses. And I was trying to recreate different moments of our history, but by blacking out also myself. It's kind of in a way, if you wish, a reflection on this super famous Guerrilla Girls advertisement that 85 nudes at the Met, at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, are women. 85% of the nudes are women, yet less than 5% of the artists are women. And so we are just part of the landscape. We are this, no, you cannot see it. And this is the first time, and so far the only time, that I have been completely nude in a video, but I am inside this thing. So I'm also like playing with that kind of the opposite game of like vaudeville. I like those ideas too of pop culture, of like striptease. So I enter naked, and then I exit naked, and all the action happens where I'm inside this thing. So it's all like that. It's just a screen, for people's subconscious to, be, seen there. Whatever you want to see there, that's it.
Yeah. And this is in Dominica, right?
And this is, yes, and for me it's also very important personally, because it's the first time that I kind of say I can do, maybe perhaps I can do performance art in Dominica, you know. And at the same time I got that year I started to film my first film, which is a documentary called Papi. And then next year I did another film called Igna, about a fisherman. Papi is a documentary about a man who has been trying to become prime minister for the last 30 years in Dominica, and he loses each time with less and less votes. And I wanted to know his story, because I always see him everywhere with his yellow car. And then the other one, it's kind of a beautiful story. I mean, I'm sorry I'm too attached with this guy. It's a fisherman and a mechanic of boats, and who's missing an arm. And it's like my hero. He's like like someone really, really special I met here in Dominica. And the whole it's a short film. It's about him. And so, yes, anyhow, it was the first time that I felt like I could do work about in Dominica, and about what it's like in, being here, you know. um, and But definitely after the hurricane, and that's another huge topic. In 2017, I had to move to Barbados, and I lived something extremely dramatic. Not many people, not most of the people did not live such a extreme thing, but the people that died in very similar circumstances that the circumstances I was, which was that my entire house was flooded to the roof with mud. And I was completely covered in mud. And this was at the beginning of the hurricane. And I spent, horrific 8 hours thinking what would be next, thank God I'm here. But I had to, nobody had a place to live, because about, 80% of the houses were damaged in Dominica. And I moved to Barbados for 1 year. And I literally had just a carry-on, and I grabbed the book that I had on my bedside table, which was this one, right, by Lennox Honeychurch. And I just, maybe because I was away, it made me realize like how special and how rich Dominica is, or Dominica was. It was this huge moment of epiphany. When I moved back in 2019, I decided that I need to do work about Le Neg Maroon, or the Maroons of Dominica. And I associated myself with the Waikikubuli Artists Association, and which is the local association of artists here. And together we created a video installation that was like something very, very special. We did some workshops with the author of the book. We did also some workshops about what is contemporary art, because I wanted to do this video piece, and most of the artists are painters, and they didn't have much experience or know much about this, different kind of art. And anyhow, that's something that I'm really looking forward to continue doing. Unfortunately, this year we couldn't continue with the project because of, everybody knows, COVID. It affected me personally. I had to move once again, and and there what I wanted to say, oh yes, that I just wanted to show a little bit of like some more recent work, that it's just to give an idea, because this is huge, right? Just to give an idea of how different the history of Dominica is.
Yeah. I will be on that point. Through this project, I was, like entering, yeah, more to the there it is. And I was wondering that Dominica is most of all society, a maroon society, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Well, in Because of the geography, Dominica was not never developed as a huge plantation. There was plantation, but it was never of interest for any of the huge powers of the colonial times. Um, it was the last island to be colonized, and in fact, the first plantation owner was a black man. So just there, it's very different from the rest of the other islands. And because of the geography, it had one of the largest areas where Maroons settled camps. In fact, they were basically undefeated until a hurricane basically exposed them. But it wasn't because of the British, because again, the British were not going to be sending huge amounts of ammunition or train people to an island that was not productive, right? And there's some fragments.
Productive in the colonial, term.
Exactly. So even today, most people are not aware of it. At least the locals. Still, there is a lot of bad connotations about the word maroon, because it's associated with being lazy or escaping your job, right? But even today, you don't need a lot of money to live here. Although Dominica, it's very expensive. And why you don't need money? Because most people have a jardin créole, as they say in Creole, or French. It's more French, but they have a backyard garden, and people exchange food. And most people still live in the mountains. They don't live in the capital. We have about 60,000 people after the hurricane, and only 20,000 live in the capital, the biggest city. The rest is spread throughout. And after the hurricane, the city suffered the most morally because of the what's it called in English? I forgot. Saqueos, when people steal. Oh, anyhow, it was horrible in the capital. It was really demoralizing. But in the villages, like I was in a village, I don't live in the city. It was just this, kudma, a hand helping the other hand. It was just, I would not have survived if it wasn't for kudma. I was rescued at 5 in the morning from my house. I couldn't carry my husband. My husband was carried away. I was given food. It's just like the amount of love and care still makes me want to cry. People this don't happen only here in Trafalgar, but all the other communities as well. It was really beautiful, and it comes from those times of the organizing of the camps, which is a total different kind of society than the society we live in today's world.
Yeah, that remind me the idea of conuco in the Dominican Republic. It's a kind of backyard garden, but mostly in the countryside. But after the second dictatorship, Balaguer, like all the people were trying to live in the cities, and those kind of dynamics is most of all to less. And Sandra, I have another question before to start with the comments or questions.
No, we had one more piece, so should we just forget about it?
Okay, okay.
Well, it's no, we'll just forget about it. We're not gonna show that. Let's just talk about the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that in your practice you are always putting, in check the fact that when we add in social reality, we are assuming some assumptions, and in that way, the thing of the mass media and the right to vindicate to write the image and the representation. And I want to know what you think about that.
Well, I think I think I kind of answered that already, but I like to like open. I hope that my work opens a space for questioning, preconceived ideas that one may have. I mean, I think of many things, but I'm so delusioned with some, with so many ideologies that I don't want to impose anything. I think everybody has to, find their own way. But I think there is a possibility that we can all live forever happy together at the same time with our differences, But I guess it's, yes, by questioning cliches, by questioning, those things that we take for granted. Um, we don't stop, and especially lately that we live more in front of a screen than ever. We don't stop to reflect what does it mean, and I think that's why it's so important to have these spaces, to reflect, to think, how am I being conditioned without even noticing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
No, don't worry. And I am thinking now in La Mala,
Mm-hmm.
your artwork, and then how the La Mala, I mean, like the bad girl, appears in other performance. Maybe if you can talk about this
Yeah,
little tricky.
well, I because again, I wanted to like think. I was trying to think like, how can I say what I want to say without like, doing an artwork, right? But I don't know how to do it otherwise. So anyhow, but I wanted to create like a manifesto, a feminist manifesto, and trying to think how would be the best media that would reach the most people. And although I'm not a singer, I hire a singer, but I wrote the lyrics of this La Mala song, and it goes something like, imagina qué divertido puede ser si no me miro, el espejo me esclaviza, es mejor un parabrisa abriendo. So usando mis sentidos, it's like a little like hip hop song, and I I used the some notes from uh, La Lupe song. I don't know the name. Según tu punto de vista, yo soy la mala.
Soy la
Because
mala.
it's always, we live in this macho culture of blaming women, even if we get raped, we were looking for it, it was your fault. You were not dressed right. You were in the wrong place, it's always the woman's fault. Whatever happens is the woman's fault, right? So
Yeah.
just starting with that phrase, and you can find it in my YouTube channel, Sandrarte Vivas. I don't know if somebody can type it there in the chat because I'm not chatting right now. I can only have attention like this, one thing at a time.
And Philip, do you have any question from the public, please? Autogar dice, I love the idea of the body as a creative democratic tool. I am curious about how you view live performances versus film and video work, and if or how you use them differently in your practice. Ooh, that is a really good question.
Excellent question. Thank you, author girl. So for me, live performance with an audience, I don't like to document my performances that are live in a video format because I find it extremely boring from a viewer point of view. So if I'm going to do a performance for the camera, I call that video art or performance for the camera. So like I just did a performance for the camera now, but those are not when I show the performance that actually happened in front of an audience, I show the still photo. That's because for me, there is something that gets broken that cannot be the same. there is something about the moment, there is something about the audience that is live, that is paying attention, that it's different. It's like watching a video of a theater piece. Now if you are in the theater, it's one thing, but if you're watching a video, it's not the same. So I like to work them differently, So when I think about video performance, I think about the video, about this square. Well, good, yeah, exactly right here. Just think about it. Exactly what the people are watching. The people are going to be watching you too, right? If I think about how do I think about film, but for me, film is telling a story. So although I can invent a lot, there are certain expectations about a film, right? In all of them, however, I think it's extremely important, and this is kind of basic, but I just hope to reach the most amount of people that can see my work and hopefully be inspired. It's very, very important to think of a beginning, a middle, and at the end. Yeah. So
I think
again, film is a story. Tell me a story, and then performance is that live thing that is happening right there that cannot be repeated, and video, it's thinking specifically about the camera. Where is your camera? What, and you having control of almost
the
everything.
point of view, and I think when you saw that boring, you have a real good sense of humor, and I think you feel that in your practice.
Oh yes, I well, not everything is funny, right? But for me, it's important to laugh. Like I think it's many serious artists don't use humor anymore for some reason, but for me, it's very, very, very important. Definitely. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's like if I try to say something funny about being funny, it's not funny.
Yeah. Y I'm thinking,
There is
Holly.
Holly.
Okay. Sandra, thank you for sharing. I wanted to know how the traumas of dealing with the wider impacts of climate change has impacted your art practice. I sense a greater community engagement.
Well, first of all, definitely like right at the beginning, I was really just trying to survive for a while without being clogged with so many thoughts, so many things that were completely new and different. But now that 3 years have passed, and especially last year for me was like that, maroon project that I want to continue working on in terms of working with the Waikiki Bully Artists Association. I mean, this is gonna sound like a cliche, but in those 8 hours that I wasn't sure if I was gonna live or die, and especially on the days after, for me it was evident and very clear that all we have, and this again is a cliche, but all we have is what we give, because we can die anytime. So what I want to do, yes, for me it's like very, very important to work with the community, specifically in the arts, because I'm not an activist. I am very delusional of anything politics. I'm involved with also Shape, which is a local project that tries to save historic monuments of Dominica from being disappeared, basically. And I think it's also unfortunately a phenomenon that it's everywhere, and yes, definitely working with the communities is a huge priority for me since the hurricane, and realizing how important that is for all, for everyone's survivals, because from like the literal survival, I wouldn't, as I said, you know, I was rescued from my own home that was completely covered by debris and huge stones, and I would not have literally survived. But at the same time, without these connections with community, we cannot survive. And my dream is also that this moment, like right now, you know, fresh milk, catapult, grant, I mean, they are creating these wonderful spaces for also us to, you know, create our own community.
And maybe with the Maroon project, you are, I mean, that's one of your steps into these ideas of the after the hurricane. How can we deal with the situation, and you know, like trying to be more como el saber, you know, to know how you can deal with the hurricane and how you can go through the maroon strategies to survive into the world.
No, definitely. I mean, what are those strategies? Some may have think. I mean, I already talked about the backyard garden. That's fundamental. The fact that the hurricanes, it's not the first time that, you know, Dominica, it's like, you know, welcome to island for hurricanes. It's incredible. I mean, we're the first island. We are kind of a magnet for hurricanes. And how the people survived before? I mean, if it was not for the African roots, I mean, you talk about root in abstract. No, we're talking about food. When the hurricane comes, it's like nothing on top, right? Nothing. But what survived was the roots. What kept people alive while the roads were fixed, while they had roots, because everybody has a backyard garden. It doesn't matter if you're rich or you're poor. Everybody that I know has a backyard garden.
And medicinal plants, I mean.
And medicinal plants. People would take the paracetamol tea from the real plant way before they would take anything. They would drink always water from the source. Was extremely lucky here. You know, like the rivers were, you know, full of mud, and just in this little Trafalgar village, we have like 5 sus. Sus is manantial. How do you say? Like water that is pure coming from the mountain. I'm saying it in Creole. Those who speak sus is spring water. We have springs just in this, just where I live, about 5, right? So we didn't have to wait for the road to be open, for the, you know, bottles of plastic to come, you know. And this is Dominica. This could only happen in Dominica. I don't know, like my children and I were always thinking when we were in Barbados, like, how would people survive here? You know, there is, you know, really wondering, because it's so flat, and you know, where do you take refuge? You know, and something that definitely sticks with you, this something of that magnitude, you know, because it's yeah. And I'm making a film about it. I'm making an animated film about that, because well, after the hurricane, we had like I personally had a, you know, huge financial losses. So it was not like I could, like before, like hire my cameraman and hire my editor. So I started to use what I can, which is, you know, what I have. So I bought a cheap app on the phone, and I started to, you know, do my cutouts, and I started to learn how to stop motion on the go and I'm still in progress with this project, but I'm definitely going to finish it. And it's about this. It's about the hurricane. Oh my gosh, it's almost to time, right?
No, and Philip, if you have other comments or questions on me, what do you like more about being an artist in Dominica, and what do you think needs to be implemented to enhance that experience?
Mm. Well, being an artist in Dominica, what do I like about being? Well, I can be in nature. Well, I'm just gonna be honest. It was very hard at the beginning before I did realize all of this that I noticed after the hurricane. There was this sense of disconnection, and for me, being part of which is the Waikiki Artists Association that was literally formed 2 weeks before the hurricane, it gave me great sense of belonging, you know. And one of the things I think that is also very interesting about Dominica, and maybe I'm so in love in Dominica that I'm not noticing a lot of things that are wrong with Dominica, but I unlike other places where I have been in the Caribbean, maybe because of like 95% of the population, it's like black, and even the higher classes are, of African descent. I I don't know, maybe because this society was, already a mix of, different tribes from different parts of Africa. I don't know, but I feel welcome wherever I go. I don't feel like I'm a stranger. I feel like this land adopted me, even though my skin is not that dark. You know, I and I perceive still mostly as white, but I don't feel that. And I don't have I haven't had that anywhere. It doesn't matter if the person has money, doesn't have money, and in that way, Dominica in particular is very open-minded, like really open-minded. That no other place. Like I would say, very democratic, and definitely very community-oriented, because this idea of Kudma has been part of it for a long time. The villages are organized with village councils, and yeah, yeah, that's definitely the best part. What was the second part of the how to enhance it? I don't know. We have to do more Maroon project. We have to
Yes,
do the Maroon
please.
project again. And the person who asked the question is Omni. That's his how he likes to be called, Lowell, and he is the president of our Waikiki Artists Association.
Yeah. So Sandra, I think was a great conversation, and for me as well, trying to understand a little more about your practice. And yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Gina, and thank you, Fresh Milk, Catapult Grant, of course, and thank you, the American Friends of Jamaica and Kingston Creative, for this amazing opportunity. This is so wonderful that we can really make this heterotopia, which we didn't have a chance to talk. Yeah, the maroon
Yes.
heterotopia.
Yeah, the Teratopia is a great concept. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you to Catapult, the American Friends of Jamaica, Fresh Milk, of course, with Annalie, and Kingston Creative for making this series of Salon happen. And please remember to joining us for the Catapult Lockdown Virtual Salon the next Tuesday at 1 p.m., October 6th, 2020, with Elfrida Wiesenberg from Guyana, who will be in dialogue with Kenneth Blackman from Barbados and Vivienne Elizabeth Armour from Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you again, Sandra, and thank you all for joining us. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.